Welcome to the Phil Steele Plus Tour for November 22nd. Up for you today, I have got 6 selections and 6 quick hitters. The biggest card of the year. There's like 60 games this weekend, guys. Next week, there's 67 games. I'll probably have an equally big card. The tour is absolutely on fire. Another winning week again last week. 3-1 for the selections and 3-2 for the quick hitters. Let's do a quick look at the tour records. That brings the records now overall to 21 wins, 9 losses, 1 tie over the last 6 weeks. And the quick hitters, 31-14, 70% over the last 8 weeks. So the tour on fire. I hope you're enjoying all these free plays we've been putting out. Now, I will say this. The FCS selections on Saturday went 1-3. They are now 58-34, 65% over 2 years. A rare losing week for the FCS, but another big winning week for the tour last week, and hopefully this one will deliver for you once again. All right, let's get to your first selection today, and we're going to start off with the Stephen Hartzell play. Now, I do a podcast every Wednesday morning with Stephen Hartzell and Wayne Cook on the Learfield Network. And Stephen always asks me at the end of the podcast if I have an under-the-radar game for him. Now, those games have done quite well. In fact, I've put 5 of them here on the tour so far this year. All 5 have won, including last week when James Madison absolutely crushed Southern Mississippi. Well, I've got a Stephen Hartzell play right for you off the bat. 5-0 this year. In 2022, these plays went 9-2. Hopefully we got a nice winner for you. Now, you look at these two teams, Texas State and UL Monroe, and you say, well, Texas State's just a 4-6 team, and UL Monroe's 3-7, so they're pretty close, right? Not so fast, my friend. Let's take a look at Texas State's record now. They're 4-6, but they could easily be 8-2. Go back to the Arkansas State game, and I'd like to thank collegepressbox.com for allowing us to put these box scores up. These are what they have on collegepressbox.com. They not only give you the box score like this, they give you the play-by-play of every single game all the way down the line. I go through the play-by-play of every game, even after I've watched them all on Saturday, just to refresh in my mind exactly what happened, catch up on all the key plays. But right here, you could see that in this game against Arkansas State at the start, Texas State led 17-10. They led 24-17. They led 30-24. Arkansas State got a touchdown with 7 seconds left to beat them by 1. That's a game where you change one play, they win. How about this one? Overtime. It's a 2-overtime loss against Troy, as you can see here. It was in the first overtime. The Marshall game. It's not labeled overtime, but it was actually Todd is going to get this corrected. Todd will get corrected the fact that it's a 2-overtime game. We always list the overtimes over here, and it just wasn't up there. But that will be corrected for you. And then finally, you look at the Louisiana game, a 3-point loss. So basically change one play in these 3 games. And by the way, when we go back and look at that Troy game for a minute, let's do that right once again. Let's go over here. Texas State, and we're going to look at this Troy game. I do want to show you this. They led Troy, they were the home team. They led 28-14, 31-17, 38-27. So they were up big the majority of the game. Same thing with this Marshall overtime game. Texas State led 17-13, 24-16, end up losing in overtime. So this is a team that could easily be 8-2 right now, and I'll show you more on that in a minute. Now, they just faced a brutal slate. At Marshall, a contender in the SBC. James Madison, the best team in the SBC. At Louisiana, who are a preseason contender. And then Southern Miss, once again, a contender to get to the title game. And right now, over the last 4 weeks, even though they went 1-3 in that stretch, they're playing to a 101.2 level in the last 4 weeks. Meanwhile, ULM, you can see their last 4 games, they're playing to a 78.8 level. So we call up the schedule predictor. By the way, the schedule predictor, these are the overall best bets out here. And you see, I'm actually giving you 8 of the overall best bets on the tour. They went 7-4 again last week. They're 68-47 this year, 144-96 over the 3 years. There are 16 of them up and available for you right now on the schedule predictor. And once again, to get to the schedule predictor, you just go to your Phil Steele Plus menu. It's got the FBS, FCS, NFL, and you go to schedule predictor, and you download the schedule predictor right here. If you want to know what the individual columns are about, there it is right there. But that's how you get to the schedule predictor. And when you click on it, oops, let's get back there for a minute. Schedule predictor. When you click right here, you get the entire schedule predictor. Now, we chopped it off like the last, we've got 10, 11, and 12 in here. These are all results. And you can see we update them. Red means a loss. Green means good. And that's pretty much the way the entire Phil Steele Plus works. Red, bad, green, good. All right, so we got that last 4 weeks. So let's go to that schedule predictor again. I was just about to show you that. So on the schedule predictor, here it is. Last 4 weeks play, Texas State, 25.4. They're only laying, now it says 18. They're actually laying 17.5 here. Texas State by 27. That's last year's score. The situation favors Texas State, and it is there's 2 yellows. Okay, yellows mean half best bets. So you have 2 yellows combined that equals 1 full best bet. You got a best bet, best bet, best bet. That's 4 best bets right here. So it's a 4 best bet play on Texas State for the schedule predictor. But there's more. Let's take a look at this a little bit closer. ULM in conference play, minus 67 yards per game, and Texas State plus 62 yards per game. Last 4 weeks, ULM is minus 107 yards per game. So Texas State has got, they're 2 wins away from getting to a bowl game, so they still have something to play for. ULM has nothing to play for. And last year when these two played, we always list the half times of every game. They led 28-0 at the half. They won by 21, and that was on the road at ULM. As you could tell, Texas State playing well. Also, ULM has their rival, Louisiana, on deck. That is a big rivalry game for them. So add it all up. We're going to go, and hopefully it's a blowout, just like James Madison was last week. Let's see what the final score of that James Madison game was. James Madison, and right here you see James Madison played App State. And right here, Todd has another mistake. Todd's got James Madison winning 28-10 over App State. The final was 58-10. 58-10 was the final. So it was a blowout win, start to finish. 27-0 at the half. They had a 327 to 40-yard edge for this Stephen Hartzell play last week. So add it all up. Your Stephen Hartzell play this week. Take Texas State minus 17.5 over ULM. All right, let's get to your technical play of the week. And in this one, we're going to put, go to the team pages, we're going to put Colorado on the right. We've been going against Colorado quite a bit this year and done well with it. And they are playing Arizona State. Arizona State here. All right, let's see what we got on this one. Now, I called this the technical game. Let's see if I have it listed on the schedule predictor. And I do. Out here, Colorado, home dog by AF series. Now, what does all that mean? Well, just get inside the press box. When you read my write-up on Inside the Press Box, it talks to you about their home dog record, what they've done off a bye, what they've done as an away favorite, what they did as a series. So if you read press box, use it with your schedule predictor. I don't have time, or I don't have the space to write all the records out here, but it's all inside the press box. By the way, as you can see here, it's actually Colorado. We've been going against Colorado. Colorado's the 3 best bet play. They've got the situation, they've got this one here and that one. But let me explain exactly what we got going for us here. First of all, both teams in their last game played West Virginia. How about this? Last game they both played West Virginia. Colorado on the road lost the game by 7, but they were only outgained by 19 yards. They earned a 101.3 AGG. Once again, the AGG has nothing to do with the team. It only factors in the opponent, the site, and the yards, both rushing and passing, offense and defense, and, of course, the final score. So they played to 101.3 despite losing the game on the road. Arizona State was actually outgained by West Virginia at home, 330 to 421. And they did win the game by 2, but Rich Rodriguez was very upset afterwards, felt they could easily have won and probably should have. And they only played, even though they won the game against West Virginia and they lost the game against West Virginia, Arizona State played to a 96.1 level because they were at home and they only won by 2 and were outgained. Meanwhile, Colorado was on the road, only got outgained by 19 yards, only lost by 7 and won. And lost by 7. So it's 101 to 96, and yet they both played the same team. That gives you a little hint here because Colorado's plus 7. Now, Colorado, if we look at the individual player stats, At the end of the game here against Arizona, went to Julian Lewis. Juju Lewis, a quarterback. He moved the team, got him to a touchdown. And then last week, they were a different offense. They had been struggling offensively. You look at all this red that you've got over here, 140 yards, 299, a lot of it after Juju Lewis came in. And then last week, 350 yards. That is big. Now, if you look at the magazine, I listed Juju Lewis as the starter at the beginning of the year. Looks like he's finally winning the job. He's got a 3-0 ratio and has taken it over. And this guy is electric. So you've got a solid quarterback here, an improved offense. And as mentioned, you've got the AGG working for you in that factor. Now, I mentioned it's a technical game of the week. Colorado comes in this, I said it's a situational play. And by the way, how these situational plays work. Situational plays were only 1-3 last week, but they're 73-42 on the year. If this is a positive number, it favors the home team. If it's a negative number, it favors the road team. So Colorado's a 1.5. All 1.5s and up signify a best bet. So the schedule or situation have been doing well all year. A rare off week last week, but 73-42 on the year. The situation is Colorado is fresh off a bye. It's their final home game. Arizona State's playing with pressure in the Big 12, and they have Arizona on deck, their rival. Plus, Colorado, I noted this a couple, I'd say about 10 years ago, I had an angle with the Denver Broncos. When they were at home a second straight week, I called it altitude advantage. They had a big advantage. In other words, they're really used to the altitude. Their opponent is not. And that's what we've got here. Off a bye, second straight week in the altitude for Colorado. And, of course, Arizona State in a rare altitude game. So I like that factor as well. Now, how about Deion Sanders as a home dog? Well, if we click here on the straight-up ATS results, Deion's been there for 2 years, 23. He was 3-0 as a home dog. Last year, 1-0 as a home dog. And so far this year, if we click right here, and we're going to go back to click one back. When you click here, you can go to the logs for this year. Let's go take a look at the college ATS logs. You know, we have FCS logs for this year. Who has FCS logs for this year? Nobody. We've got it right here. But here's your college ATS logs. So let's see what Colorado's done as a home dog this year. They lost to Georgia Tech. They home dog covered and against BYU. They beat Iowa State outright. So they've done well as a home dog so far this year. They are an outstanding 6-1 ATS as a home dog. Now, how about the series? Well, let's take a look here. When you click right here, Colorado's playing Arizona State, the series pops up. Now, this is easy. If this is green, that means the team won outright. If it's red, they lost outright. This tells you if it's green, the team covered. If it's red, the team didn't cover. This is the home team. And the home team, if it's green, that means that the home team covered. If the word is win, that means that the home team won. So the home team is 9-1 against the spread, which figures you've got Arizona State in the desert, you've got Colorado in the mountains. You have a big difference in home edges. 9-1 for the home team in this series. How about Colorado off a bye? Well, let's go take a look at the last 40 years' results. And when we come down here, you can see what this line means in this. And by the way, this goes all the way back to 1976. You've got lines on every game since 1976. We started putting in the over-unders when they actually started posting over-unders in 2003. There were no totals plays prior to that. They had them on a few marquee games in 2001, 2002. Here they posted them on every game. And then we started putting the halftimes in as well. Now, if this line is bold, that means the team went outright. The win-loss is about the spread, so keep that in mind. So if it's got a line, that means there was a bye. So after a bye, they won. After a bye, they won. Now we're looking at the spread over here, the W. After a bye, they won. After a bye, they won. After a bye, they won. Do you see those records? Colorado is 7-2 ATS off a bye. And finally, let's take a look at Arizona State as an away favorite. They are 5-10. And then if you add in this year, they are 5-11 ATS as an away favorite. So the Mississippi State game, they were an away favorite. They lost outright this year. So add it all up. It is a huge technical play this week. We are taking Colorado +7 over Arizona State. All right, I told you I do a podcast with Stephen Hartzell and Wayne Cook. guess what? I've got a Wayne Cook play for you this week. Wayne used to play quarterback for UCLA. His final year at UCLA was actually the year before my magazine started. So I didn't get to write about Wayne in the magazine, but very familiar with him as the QB of there. And he works on the, I believe, the sidelines with UCLA right now as doing the game stuff. He's the voice of the Twitter voice of UCLA football. And so he always brings up UCLA, travels to all the games. And a lot of weeks I pick against UCLA. Sorry about that, Wayne. They are 3-7 straight up and 3-7 ATS this year. So it's very rare that I have Wayne Cook and I pick one of his plays. Now, he didn't ask me about UCLA this week, but at the end of the podcast, I brought it up because this is a rare week. Well, I like the Bruins. Now, first of all, you say, well, Phil, they just lost to Ohio State 48-10. But let's look at the individual player stats. You will notice that Nico Iamaleava did not play. He had a concussion last week. He returned to practice, will play this week. He's been playing a lot better since the coaching change. Remember, the coaching change happened here. They beat Penn State. They crushed Michigan State. They beat Maryland. Now, their 3 losses, they lost to Indiana and Ohio State on the road. Okay, a lot of teams are going to do that. Those are the top 2 teams in the country. And they also lost to Nebraska by 7. It is a game they trailed 28-7, but they came back, made it 28-21. I thought they played well in that game. So you got UCLA at home for this one. And in the last 10 games, let's take a look at the series here. And click right there for series. UCLA against Washington. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-4 ATS against the spread against Washington. So they do well. But the thing is, when they're at home against Washington, let's take a look at those home games. Cover, loss, cover, loss, cover. That's where I was looking. 8-2 against the spread at home against Washington. They are at home for this one. And then how about this one? Washington on the Big Ten road. At Rutgers, loss. And I'm talking, when I say loss, I'm counting the spread here. Loss. At Iowa, loss. At Indiana, loss. At Penn State, loss. At Oregon, loss. Last year they were unbeatable at home, but on the road, they were not so good, especially the Big Ten road. They lost by an average of 15 points per game last year. Well, this year it has continued. Now, in 2025, they went at Maryland. Now, they won the game by 4, but they actually trailed 19-0, I believe, or 20-3. Let's see what they trailed by. They trailed 20-0 in that game, got a late score, but they did not cover. So that's another spread loss. At Michigan, loss. At Wisconsin, lose outright. So they are 0-8 against the spread on the Big Ten road. Now, if you go to the schedule predictor, let's go to that. Here it is. Preseason line on the game, I had the game pick 'em. And there was somebody on that was noting that they were confused about this. If this says pick 'em and the team is plus 10.5, that's a play on UCLA. That's a 10.5 point difference. Even if one of these has a team winning the game, but not by enough, like if they're a big favorite and not winning by enough, like here, Old Dominion by 7.5 over here, Conference AGG. And this is saying Old Dominion 12.5. That's a play on Georgia Southern because Old Dominion's only winning by 7.5. They're laying 12.5. So keep that in mind. But anyway, the preseason plays 4-4 on last week, 70-47 on the year. It is a preseason play. I had the game pick at the start of the year, and Washington is minus 10.5. So I like the Bruins plus 10.5. Wayne Cook, it's your first official play on the tour. Welcome to the tour. It is plus 10.5. And I've been doing that podcast with Wayne and Steven for years. A lot of fun for me. We cover all the top games, usually all the top 25 games on the week. All right, before I get to the situational play of the week, a quick note for you here, and that is the battle is on. So let's go to this for a minute and take a look here. Battle is on, and it's me versus a computer, but once again, the computer's smoking me at the second half of the year. I led after September, as usual. Computer best bets in 23 finished 17-7. In 24, they finished 19-11. Last week, 3-1 again for the computer's best bets. The computer's 3-year fall record, 52-29, and there are still 3 weeks left for the computer. They've got this week, next week, and of course the championship games. The NFL last week, once again, 2-1. I gave you 25% off last week. I'm going to do it again. I appreciate you taking the tour with me. Open in the code thank you 25. And the price right now, there's only 3 issues of the College Press Box. It's $59 for the rest of the year. A full page on every single game. So this week you get 60 some odd pages. Next week you're going to get 67 pages of Inside the Press Box. I'll show you what an Inside the Press Box looks like, at least part of the page. Take 25% off, $44.25. But the key is this, guys. When you sign up to Inside the Press Box, you not only get a great newsletter and a lot of best bets, but I give you Phil Steele Plus for the rest of the year for free. Now, if you go to the store, you'll see Phil Steele Plus is $99, but you can actually pay $44, get 3 issues of Press Box for the rest of the year, and get Phil Steele Plus for free. And by the way, the college and NFL bundle, which also includes the postseason, all the bowls, all the playoffs, that's $132. 25% off brings you to $99. You get every college, every NFL, every bowl, every playoff, all the way through the Super Bowl. Plus, you get Phil Steele Plus for free for $99. Just use this code right here. Thank you, 25, to sign up for that. All right, let's get to your next one. It's my situational game of the week. And we've been going against LSU a little bit. We went against them last week with Arkansas and got the winner there. But this week, we're actually siding with them. This is the situational play of the week. They are taking on Western Kentucky. So let's take a look at what we got here. And for this one, all right, so situational play of the week. It is the final home game for LSU. And let me show you the schedule predictor once again. Here it is. Situational play, 1.5. And not only the final home game. I wouldn't give a 1.5 for a final home game. Sorry, not going to do that. But Western Kentucky has got a big game next week. They are playing Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville State, that game is for a berth in the CUSA title game. So they have a game that means so much more next week than they do this week. That's why it's a situational play. But there's more on this one. If you look at the schedule strength, you're going to notice here that on the schedule strength, LSU is 123. And all you have to do is go here. We're going to click back and go to schedule strength. Come on, schedule strength. There we go. And when you look at the strength of schedule, LSU is taking on the number 8 schedule this year. Western Kentucky, the number 131. So that's what this number means. That's the difference in the schedule, and that is a best bet there. At the start of the year, Action Network had LSU by 39. Plus minus power ratings has LSU by 28. And then, as mentioned, you have the situational play. And I should put a technical play out here as well. Why is that? When you look at this, and by the way, another thing I want to point out here, despite that schedule strength, LSU is holding opponents to 71 yards per game below their average. Western Kentucky is allowing teams 62 yards above their average. How about that? Now, what this number means out here, guys, if it's a minus number, that means they give it above the opponent's average. So, and it's not the opponent's average, it's their opponent's average minus the game. Let's say minus the game against LSU. So they held Arkansas to 144 below their average, and they allowed 340 yards. That means that Arkansas, in all their games besides LSU, averages 484 yards, and they held them to 340. On the season, they're holding teams 71 below their average, number 25. Western Kentucky is allowing teams 62 above their average. Like Middle Tennessee, for example. They gave up 541 yards. Middle Tennessee, in all their other games, only gaining 333 yards per game. They gave them 541 last week. That's 208, so 62 above. And LSU's taken on the much tougher schedule, which really amplifies that as well. It's at night, it's at Death Valley, and finally, how about Western Kentucky as a double-digit favorite, underdog? Now, in the last 7 years, once again, when you click here, you can break all these down. Here's underdog, by 3 or less, single day. Here's double-digit, 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, 0-3. They are 0-7 as a double-digit underdog. But let's look a little bit closer. When they play a big-time opponent, they tend to mail it in. And you come back over here, look at Alabama. Last year they lost 63-0. In other words, they weren't concerned about Alabama. They were concerned about staying healthy. This game here really brought that to my attention. I used the over in the Ohio State-Western Kentucky game, and at the half it was 42-10. But you know what happened in the second half? Western Kentucky dropped its offense, its hurry-up, pass-heavy offense. They started just running the football, milking the clock, trying to get out of the end of the game. Now, the game still went over for me. I got the total winner. I believe it was for the tour here. I used it on the tour as a selection. We got to 73, but that really sprung it in my head that Western Kentucky doesn't really care. They care about staying healthy and care about winning CUSA, which they could very much do this year if they win next week against Jacksonville State. So I haven't been on LSU much this year, and LSU doesn't have a great spread record, but we're going with LSU minus 21.5 over Western Kentucky. All right, how about our technical situation play of the week? And for this one, we're going to take Georgia on the right. Thank you, Georgia, for delivering a quick hitter winner for us last week with that win over Texas. A nice, solid victory. They're really rounding in the form, aren't they? They blew out Mississippi State. They blew out Texas last week, and now they're taking on lowly Charlotte. You got to be thinking Georgia is going to roll in this one, right? Well, guess what? And by the way, if I have it here on the schedule predictor, let me see if I highlighted it. Do we have Georgia on here? Georgia against Charlotte. Georgia. I don't have it, but that's my fault. I should have highlighted it. Most of the power ratings are saying Georgia by 49, Georgia by 50. Let's see what the AGG has. 78 versus 120. That's 48 plus home field veg. That's 52. Georgia's only laying 44. But here's the thing. When you take a look, first of all, I said it's also a situation play. It is a sandwich game. This Texas game was huge. The Georgia Tech game is huge. Keep in mind, last year, Georgia Tech took them to 8 overtimes. That was a heck of a game. They trailed 17-0. They trailed by double digits in the fourth quarter. That's a big game for Georgia to pull out against their rival. This is just Charlotte, a big favorite. Let's take a look and see how Georgia does as big favorites. Now, first of all, let's go take a look at 20 plus. So here we are, 20 plus, 0-5, 1-5-1. That's 110-1. This year they've been a 20 plus favorite twice. I could show you in the logs, but you know how to get there. So 1 win, 12 losses, 1 tie as a 20 plus favorite. Now, how about this? As a favorite of 38 or more. I don't have that listed there, but we could go here and take a look at it. And let's just look. When they're favored by 42, loss. When they're favored by 38 or more, minus 52, loss. Minus 40, loss. Minus 42, push. Minus 50, loss. Now, I could go back and show you them all, but the record is 0, 15-1 as a favorite of 38 or more, and as a double-digit favorite the last 2 years. I mentioned that already. So 0, 15-1 when favored by 40 plus, and they're favored by 44. The reason for that, Georgia plays a lot of guys, and in the fourth quarter, you'll see a lot of guys play. It's a massive sandwich spot. Yep, we love Georgia. I think Georgia's one of the best teams in the country. I think Georgia is now a legitimate national title contender. I think Gunnar Stockton should be a favorite for the Heisman Trophy. The defense is playing well, but we're going with Charlotte, plus 44. This is not Georgia's game. Last week, I showed you. Remember I showed you on Georgia? I came down here and said versus top 10 teams as a home favorite, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. They do great. As a 20-plus favorite or 40-plus favorite, this is not their game. We're taking Charlotte plus 44. And finally, your YPG versus offensive average game of the week. We are going to put Toledo on the right, and we're going to put Ball State on the left. So let's put Toledo over here. And we're going to put Ball State over here. Now, let me show you another thing that we've got going on the predictor. We'll get out of that schedule for a minute and come back to the middle. And this is the offensive and defensive YPG versus opponent average. And when we look at that, Toledo right now, if you add up their offense, they're 60 above opponent average. The defense, 89 above opponent average. That's number 17 in the country, plus 149. Let's go find Ball State. Ball State's all the way down here. They are minus 144 on offense, minus 54 on defense, minus 198, number 135. That is a massive play there. Now, you look at the records Toledo's got 4 losses. Ball State's got 6. You think these teams are close? I'm going to show you there's nowhere near close for these teams. First of all, Ball State is a much better team at home. At home, they are only minus 48 yards per game. On the road, minus 224. They actually win their home games by 2. They lose their road games by 26. Toledo is a much better team at home. Look at this. They are plus 329 yards per game at home. The defense allows 192. The offense puts up 521. That's remarkable. So you have a team that's much better at home versus a team that's really, really weak on the road. You've got Toledo's defense holding opponents in 89 below their average. And look at this. I've got another thing to show you here. Let's look at the chart back under the menu. We go to the menu. The defensive YPP. This is yards per play. So let's go to, we've got it right here, offense and defense. Toledo leads the nation in yards per play on defense, 3.8. That's better than Ohio State, better than Texas Tech, better than Oklahoma, James Madison, Miami. And where's Ball State? They're all the way down towards the bottom. So you've got the team that's number 1 in the country, holding teams to 3.8 yards per play also as well. Toledo in MAC play, plus 208 yards per game. Ball State minus 122 yards per game. You've got a massive advantage there as well. And I showed you the home edge already. Let's see if we brought this one up on the schedule predictor for this week. Yes, we did. So as you see here, minus 32, minus 34. Home away AGG, minus 41.8. And as you see here, their AGG at home, 115. Their AGG on the road, minus 77. They should be a 41-point favorite, according to that. Toledo is only they're laying less than 4 touchdowns, minus 27.5. We're taking Toledo, minus 27.5. And Steven, if you're still watching right now, you got to like that one because you know I love it. You love it when I bring up the MAC games. All right, let's get to the computer wanted to use, but I wouldn't let it. Last week, it was a big winner with Florida State, as you recall. This week, we're going to bring up the San Jose against San Diego State. So let's bring that up here. San Diego State is on the right. And they pretty much have been a spread buzzsaw with the exception of this Hawaii game. They have been like a spread covering machine. San Jose, what the heck? Now, I'm not overreacting to this one. 55-10 to Nevada, wow. But they are actually now, they have just 3 wins. No bowl. They were a team that was expected to contend for the Mountain West title, and now there is no bowl. But my computer, when I looked at it, and this is just part of the sheet you get with PressBox, gives you my complete write-up on the game over here. And over here, it gives you the computer projection. The computer has got San Diego State 33, San Jose 12. The spread on this game, San Diego State is just minus 11.5. So that's a pretty big difference. And there's also a special teams advantage here. Look at this. San Diego State's number 19 in my special teams. San Jose 117. And once again, you could go right over here to the Phil Steele Plus menu, or you can look on your PressBox page and it shows you. But the special teams rankings are right here. I've been putting out a special teams game of the week. I'll have one for you in a minute. In fact, I'm going to show you when we get there. So this play, it's a quick hitter. It is to take the computer wanted to use, but I wouldn't let it play. San Diego State minus 11.5 over San Jose. An easy winner last week. And if you want to get a complete write-up like this on every single game, including my red-hot computer's forecast on every game, you get the yards rushing, yards passing, yards point. And the great thing is, if you circle whenever you're within 20 yards on any of these 4, and circle whenever you're within 3 points, you're going to have circles all over your PressBox page because the computer knows what the hell it's doing. And I've got it 28-10 as well. We're taking San Diego State here. All right, let's get to that special teams game of the week. And the special teams game of the week, 4-2 on the year. And this week we're going to put Houston on the right, and we are going to put TCU on the left. Houston on the right, TCU on the left. All right, last week the computer had a best bet selection, by the way, on BYU, which won 44-13 over TCU. These special teams, number 31 is Houston. Where's TCU? TCU's all the way down here at number 101. So when you look at the numbers, these teams are fairly close. Houston is at home. Houston has the special teams edge. We're going to go with Houston in this one. Plus, if you look at conference play, they are plus 32 yards per game in conference play. TCU is minus 14. That tells you Houston's probably a little better team. The game's picked, guys. Special teams is going to be the determining factor here. We're taking Houston, pick 'em over TCU as a quick hitter. All right, how about your strength of schedule game of the week? And for this one, we're going to put South Carolina on the right, and we are going to put Coastal Carolina on the left. And for this, we're going to look at the strength of schedule here. And once again, we've got that here with Phil Steele Plus. You can have access to all this, guys. And by the way, there's NFL information. I know I don't talk NFL. We have team pages on the NFL, whereas you click on the team page, it's just like the college. You got the plus minus opponent's average. You've got the red and green. You've got the conference. You've got the home and away. You've got versus division. Everything is in there for the NFL. And also in the NFL, let's take a look at something else here. NFL. Let's see who the top average game grade is right now. The Rams are number one. Last 4 weeks, Seattle is number one. How about that? Seattle and Detroit are in the best current form. At the bottom is Washington, way down there. So that tells you you've got the average game grades. You got all that stuff in the NFL. Enough about the NFL. If you're on PressBox, you like the NFL, or you're on Phil Steele Plus, then you know where all that stuff is. Let's get back to this one, though. This is my strength of schedule game of the week. And if we take a look at the strength of schedule, we've got that for you here. South Carolina's played the third toughest schedule in the country. Coastal Carolina is way down here at number 116. So you've got a big schedule edge. Let me see if I put the schedule predictor up here. If we got that one up, yes, we do. As you see here, 113 edge. The situation favors them. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's only a 2 best bet play. That's what this means. That's not an official best bet for this column, 7-4. By the way, who was the hot columns last week? Last time here went 4-0 last week. Home away AGG, 9-3. And I talked to you guys. I've been telling you, haven't I? Every single tour we do, I say this last 4 weeks going to really heat up down the stretch, guys. Look at this. 10-5 last week. 47-32 on the year. This is when it hits home runs. If you do nothing else, go on your schedule predictor and just play the last 4 weeks AGG plays. I think you're going to have a big week this week. 10-5 again last week. 9-4 for Met last year plays. So, by the way, this gives you the record for the season. This gives you for the season here and the last 3 years record as well. And I'll have all this updated by the weekend. But by the way, the schedule predictor is completely updated right now with 16 overall best bets. It's the biggest card of the year. Do make sure you check it out. 7-4 last week, very close to being 8-3. One play away from being 8-3. But so this category here is your schedule one. And also the one thing I want to point out here is last week, South Carolina led Texas A&M 30-3 at the half and blew the lead. You think if they get up 30-3 on Coastal Carolina, they're going to coast? No. South Carolina needs a win. They're off 5 straight losses. They get up 30-3. You betcha that Coach Beamer will be saying, you blew a 27-point lead last week. We're not doing it this week. So your strength of schedule game of the week, quick hitter, South Carolina, minus 24. All right, how about your last 4 weeks game of the week? I just talked to you about the last 4 weeks, guys. I forgot I had it here. I would have spent less time on it up top than I am now. But we got Georgia Southern taking on Old Dominion. And this one surprised me because if you take a look at Old Dominion, they're 31-6, 33-0. They're rolling, right? But over the last 4 weeks, they're playing at a 98.5 level. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern delivered for us last week as a best bet for PressBox with their win over Coastal Carolina 45-40. And that's a game, by the way, if you look here at the Coastal Carolina game, Georgia Southern was up 35-20. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. We ended up winning 40. We were up 45-33. Then we did not trail against the spread. We were up against the spread the entire game. We're only laying 2.5 in that game, so an easy PressBox winner. But Georgia Southern's playing at a 90.7 level. Now, I give Georgia Southern a 3.75 home edge. So when you add the home edge to it, that is a 98.5 to 99.6. That's pretty, or not 98.5, but it's pretty close. The home away is that. The home away, Georgia Southern, I've pointed this out all year. They beat Jacksonville State. They beat Maine. They only lost to Southern Miss by 3, beat Georgia State. They beat Coastal Carolina. They are plus 81 at home, minus 205 on the road. They're at home. Their home grade is 94.7. Their road game is 99.6. So you add the 3.7 home edge in here, and all of a sudden, Georgia Southern is only a dog by like a point and a half. That's probably should be here. Yeah, plus 1.1. Last 4 weeks says plus 4. You've got revenge going. They were upset in this game last year by Old Dominion. Now here, this is an Old Dominion best bet. This is a Georgia Southern best bet. They cancel each other. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best bets on Georgia Southern. Even though there's 7 highlighted, keep in mind this one's saying ODU. You have to look at the who's favored by how much. ODU by 12. That says ODU by 22. That's an ODU best bet. So keep that in mind when you're doing these. So it's a quick hitter. Your last 4 weeks AGG. I could have made it home away AGG, which was 9-3 last week. It's taking Georgia Southern plus 12.5. This is saying that's going to be a hell of a football game. All right, I got another last 4 weeks play for you. And it's a team that disappointed last week in North Carolina. 2 weeks ago, they got backdoored by Stanford. Last week, they disappointed. But the one thing I want to point out here is Duke was super disappointing last week. In fact, Duke in the first half against Virginia, they were outgained 308-50, guys. They were outgained the first half by Connecticut, 237-143. Now, I thought Connecticut was a flat spot. I did think they'd bounce back against Virginia. They did not. They got crushed. Look how they're playing the last 4 weeks. 99.8. And this is why I said the last 4 weeks is beautiful. Throw out those early games where Belichick was getting his footing, okay? Throw them out. You're just looking at the last 4 games. And if you look at the last 4 games, they should have beaten Virginia. They fumbled into the end zone and missed a field goal. They clubbed Syracuse. They should have covered against Stanford. They were up 20-3. And then last week they were disappointing. Duke's been disappointing more than once in this stretch. Duke is playing at a 99.8 AGG. North Carolina is playing at a 105. So how much is North Carolina favored by in this game? Guess what, guys? They are a 7-point dog. The last 4 weeks is screaming on this one. It is saying North Carolina is going to win the game by 9.5, and they are a 7-point dog. This the Vegas line here says 6.5. They're actually a 7-point dog. I'll have to talk to Dennis about that. He puts these lines in. I think he's off on that. We got North Carolina plus 7 over Duke. You got to love the last 4 weeks thing. My preseason line on the game was 7. Remember my preseason lines we talked about? And Duke just getting not playing well last 4 weeks. 99.8 last 4 weeks. You rarely find a game like this where the team is that big of a difference. And finally, your home away average play of the week. We're going at UCF against Oklahoma State this week. And when we put UCF on the right, and we're going to put Oklahoma State on the left. Oklahoma State, there they are. All right, so UCF plays much better at home. Beat Jacksonville State, beat North Carolina, crushed North Carolina. They did lose to Kansas, but at that goal line at the end of the game and led that one. They crushed West Virginia, and they did lose to Houston, close to a win. They could almost be undefeated at home this year with the close losses they've had, and they're plus 141 yards per game. Oklahoma State on the road, minus 239. They lose by 39 points per game. So your home away AGG, you've got a plus 141 versus a minus 239. And that's pretty big. They're playing to 107.6. On the road, they're 88.4. So if we take a look, once again, going to the schedule predictor, 16 best bets this week, guys. Go to the home away. You see UCF should be favored by 23.4. Now, Oklahoma State, excuse me, did play well last week against Kansas State. I'll give them that. But that was at home, and now they're on the road against a tough team. Your home away AGG play of the week is UCF, minus 14 over Oklahoma State. There you go. There's your turf for this week. 12 big selections. Let's keep this hot streak rolling, and I'll be back with you next week with another turf for you. Also, make sure you check out the Phil Steele show, which we do at Learfield. I believe the best bet's there. Let me see what the best bet record is on that. 1 second. I've got it listed on the Twitter account. So let's go to the home page. Let's just go here to Twitter. Come on. on Twitter, if we go to my homepage, the Phil Steele Show is 19-4-1 the last 8 weeks. I taped the Phil Steele Show today, so it'll be up at noon today on Thursday. 19-4-1 the last 8 weeks for those plays. Make sure you check that out as well. And thank you once again for taking the tour. Use that discount. Excuse me, that's a lot of talking without a break. Use that discount to get that 25% off the tour and become a Phil Steele Plus member today.